The Navigating Disability podcast often discusses topics including disability, injury, mental health, and mentions of sensitive issues such as trauma and suicide. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care while listening. Welcome to Navigating Disability. Today we're joined by Breanna Jenkins, a passionate advocate, carer with powerful lived experience supporting neurodivergent children. Breanna knows firsthand the challenges families face navigating support systems, especially when raising kids with autism and complex needs. Her journey has shaped a deep commitment to neuroaffirming, person-centered care that truly sees and supports young people. Join us as we talk about the reality of caring, the importance of community, and what it means to create safe spaces where neurodivergent kids can feel safe, included, and celebrated. Welcome, Breanna. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited to have a chat. You guys do amazing stuff on this podcast. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. We try and do our best to change the conversation one story at a time. Can you share your personal connection to autism and what makes this work meaningful to you?
So right from a child, I have family members. I grew up with kids who have disabilities. Disability has always been something I've been connected to. And I'm very passionate about young people. I love kids. I love young adults. I love teens. That's my passion. It's where I feel the happiest and most fulfilled. And I think the introduction to that was my experience with family members, kids who had disabilities. And I got introduced to the industry, fell in love with it, started working for a company. I soon went independent. And when I went independent, I had the ability to choose who I wanted to work with. And that's when I explored working primarily with youth and loved it. That's what clicked. And yeah, it feels really aligned and like what I'm supposed to be doing, the specific niche. Yeah.
You know, the word neuroaffirming support, what does that truly mean to you?
Well, I actually have an autism diagnosis as well. So for me, as someone with autism, late diagnosed autism, sometimes in certain rooms, maybe I feel like I'm the weird kid or a weirdo. This is probably trauma from being a child. Sometimes in certain rooms, I might feel like I'm the weirdo, like I say weird things. Oh my God, is this too much eye contact? Not enough eye contact. Whereas in other rooms, I just feel comfortable. I feel safe. I feel relaxed. I feel my usual chatty, bubbly, happy, friendly self. And that's such a good feeling. Whereas if you feel judged or misunderstood, that's such a bad feeling. And it hurts your heart. It makes you feel less than, unworthy, sad, all these things. So I understand that. And I have also, through my experiences in the industry, I've seen people who have not received good support, and I see how that can affect people. So it's sort of my top priority. I want to make people feel safe and comfortable. So that sort of is a really big focus of mine.
And it's so true what you said about feeling safe.
Yeah.
If you feel safe, you can honestly be who you truly are. You're not masking, you're not trying to please other people. So I think it's really important for our listeners to understand that people need to feel safe to be able to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
What are some small things that people can do to better support neurodivergent kids and teens?
Well, I think a fantastic tool in the industry, if you're a support worker yourself, I would absolutely recommend chatting with whoever you're supporting, their support coordinator. And there's a lot of training that you can receive from maybe a behavioral psychologist, a speech therapist, anyone. I think that's a fantastic place to start with some formal education that you will be able to receive. And that's specific for that person as well. So that is the first place I would recommend people start. There's also a lot of online courses like Happy Family Online, Autism 360. We're very lucky in today's day and age that we have fantastic resources out there. and you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes supporting people with autism or kids, you have to do things a different way. And maybe you think you're doing the right thing, but it's not, and it won't work out. So I would recommend, if you can get some sort of formal education from someone's care team, that is fantastic, and please make use of that. But there are also amazing free courses online. Yeah.
One thing you said there that was really interesting was learning about or going to see a behavior practitioner or so forth and learning about that individual. And I think
Yep.
it's really important to understand that every single neurodivergent person is different.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Absolutely. So any and all information you can get, and honestly, it's things you learn on the job. You've got to learn different people's quirks. I have worked this one young lady who I worked very closely with, who I was a support worker. I have a support work background. And she's awesome. She's such a funny girl. But she was not in a routine at all. She did not like routine. She had PDA as well, pathological demand avoidance. So I believe maybe it was something she didn't want to stick to routines because it brought her anxiety. But so she didn't like routines, which all we hear about autism is routine, routine, routine. But she did not like routines. Nothing was on a time schedule. So things are different for each person, and it's important you get to know the person. And that goes along with all disabilities, not just autism. You've got to know the person, and there's only so much you can read from a book or listen to somebody say. But I think it's the best to learn on the job and speak to the people who work and support with this person.
So how do you feel that schools and sports clubs could be more inclusive and welcoming to children with autism? Because we know that that can be a hard space for kids.
Absolutely. And this is something that actually breaks my heart. This is something that makes me really sad in the industry. And I try and look at, the NDIA and disability. I try and look at it with a positive outlook and to focus on the positives. It's easy to talk about the negatives and everything that's wrong in the industry, but I prefer to talk about the positives because things like this make me sad. But from my personal experience, I have unfortunately come across a lot of people who, whether they have, I guess they've got no connection to disability and no connection to autism, and they have absolutely no understanding. It's shocking, and it's something that I didn't realize until I had sort of been a support worker for a couple of years and I had some bad experiences in public with people. A lot of people have absolutely no idea. It just shocks you. Anything to do with disability and autism. So I think the first step is education. But I don't really have the answers. How do we make people more educated? Does it start in schools? I guess it does start in schools.
I actually think personally it starts even before school. It starts in kindergarten, it starts in
Yep, right.
playgroups. It starts from the day the kids are born.
Yep, starts in the home, how the parents talk about people with disabilities. And people need to have a willingness to learn, and they need to have big hearts. Like, take a step back, have a big heart, be a good person, be a nice person, educate yourself, because if you don't, it can have really bad outcomes and really, really, really negatively affect people. So I wish I had more answers, but you're right. It should start right from the home. I think, we're sort of starting to, especially because I'm in the autism space, I think I'm exposed to there's a lot of group activities and different programs, friendship building programs available for young people with autism. So that's fantastic. I think we are, over the last few years, I have sort of noticed we do have more group activities happening in the community for kids with autism. So that's great. That's a great start. Yeah.
And I think the thing is, not everyone, but people fear change. They fear difference.
Yeah.
But what people don't realise when you sit back and think about it, everyone's different, disability or not. You can't look at one person and say they're the same as another. So we're all different, but I think it's the fear, and we just need to strike that balance in conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are people, these are fantastic people. Yeah. A lot of people, they're just not connected to disability, and I guess they don't want to know, or they don't care to know, or they don't need to know, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And they haven't
Yes.
been exposed. I think that's a really, really important
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And me as a child, I was never exposed to disability, so I didn't understand it. I didn't really know what it was, and there was an ignorance there.
Yeah.
When my children were diagnosed, well, that's like just throwing you into a whirlwind and
Yeah.
trying to come up for breath. What's one thing, or what advice could you give to parents or carers who are just starting to support a neurodivergent child?
Well, I just did a post on my LinkedIn about early intervention. I shared a fantastic person's post about early intervention. We are very lucky that early intervention is a thing nowadays, and I would absolutely recommend um, start the process with the NDIS. It can be a long process. Get a fantastic support coordinator on your side. It's very, very important to have a good support coordinator on your side, because they are the people who can give you advice and point you in the right direction with different speeches, different physios, behavioral psychologists or behavioral therapists. And yeah, absolutely go down that path. And they are the best people to give you advice on different strategies and interventions you can do with your child to start off on the best foot. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were later diagnosed.
Yep.
How did that make you feel when you had that diagnosis? How did that change you as a person or change your perspective on life?
And what made you get a diagnosis? Sorry, Jen, I jumped in.
You're okay.
Well, I was actually curious if I had ADHD. I had a friend who was diagnosed with autism, and she recommended me to the GP that she spoke with, and sort of explained to me the process. And I went down the process, diagnosed with autism. Okay, interesting. It felt validating that, yeah, it just feels validating. And okay, I can sort of have a deeper understanding of myself now and things in my past, the way my brain works, why I feel certain things, different strategies for me to overcome these things. You know, I talk about strategies with the people that we support, and now I can use them on myself. So it's interesting, it's validating. Yeah, just validating is how it feels, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really helps you to, I believe, and I'm a late diagnosis of at 50, so luckily you got yours earlier.
Yep.
To me, it's very much about acceptance,
Yep.
and accepting who I am, and
Yep.
not being a bad person. Because
Yep.
all the life I grow up thinking I was easy, I was lazy, I was not good enough.
Yep.
That's all not true. I've actually got a reason for that. One thing you said before about the advice we can give to families that are just starting on this journey, I think the biggest piece of advice I want to give is that it actually doesn't change the child. The child is still your beautiful baby that you gave birth to.
Yep.
All it means is that we need to look at different ways of supporting that child. They're still your gorgeous baby, and that will never
Absolutely.
change.
Yep. Yep. There's just some tweaks and some differences. Yeah.
And it's a learning journey. Like well, man, I never ever thought that I would be the type of parent that I am today. But I can honestly thank my children for that, because I've had to learn to parent in a totally different way. And it has been a massive journey.
Yep.
What
Yep.
does inclusion look like to you, Breanna?
Well, something I'm also passionate about is we work a lot with physical disabilities as well. So I've sort of mentioned we've started to see more community events and activities and group activities for people with autism, but that's something that I want to introduce more for young kids with physical disabilities. So I feel like that's where we're lacking in the industry. There's not a lot of representation from what I've seen for kids with physical disabilities. And they want to go out and have fun too. And they want to make friends, and they want to play sports. They want to go out and watch a movie. They want to build friendships and relationships. And that's something that I'm working on right now. I want to introduce more group activities for children with physical disabilities. And I think, yeah, that's something that the industry is missing. And that's one step closer towards inclusion for me. And yeah.
So I know in your role and your business that, you do a lot to support people with disability. Is there one moment that sticks out in your mind that you went, oh, I've really made a difference to someone? And I'm sure there's many, but, is there just that one thing that you sat back and went, wow, I did that for someone, and that sense of accomplishment that you're able to help them in the way that you do?
Yeah, well, something I'm very proud about, when I was a support worker myself, working very closely with this family, spending a lot of time in the home. And this is something we need to think about as well. When you're sending support workers into somebody's home, you're sending them into their home to be a part of their family, to help support their children, help support their family emotionally, physically, whatever it is. And one day a parent said to me, she said, I don't know what I'd do without you. I don't know what I'd do without you. And it was just such a beautiful feeling, and I felt appreciated. Sometimes as support workers, maybe you don't feel appreciated, or maybe you don't feel valued. So it was nice to hear from this parent. She said, I don't know what I'd do without you. And I felt really good about myself.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what it means. This is what I love about support work. Your boots down on the ground. You're the one who is helping to implement strategies from a care team. You're the one who's there, who's getting to know everybody, who's building these relationships, these caring relationships. And it's really rewarding. And you're the one boots down on the ground. Yeah.
What would be, where would you tell people to go and look for supports? Is it a company? Is it independent? How can we help people actually connect with these supports?
Yeah, this is really important. And for the adults that we work with who are searching for support workers as well, who have autism, it can be a big roadblock, because it seems like such a big thing. And I acknowledge it can be a big thing for sure. Getting an NDIS plan, that whole process. And then once you've got some funding, you know what you can receive support for, going out and searching for that can be a big deal. And it can be very draining, especially if
trial and error.
Exactly. I was just going to say, if you're trial this support worker, it doesn't work out, or trial another one, or trial another one. How long does it take to find the perfect person? But I think it's really important you find the perfect person, or as close to that as possible, so that everyone gets the best outcome. So I totally acknowledge that is a big thing. I know generally people tend to stay away from the bigger agencies, disability support agencies, because there's sort of this idea that, someone random shows up, people are unreliable. It's not, all those things that we hear about bigger companies. So maybe just avoid that, maybe search for a smaller company or go independent. You can go through your support coordinator. They might know someone, they might support someone with a similar disability to you who they can refer you to. So there's a few different methods. It depends on how involved you want to be, whether you'd like your support worker to find supports for you, or whether you want to do it yourself. Yeah.
So how do you, oh, sorry, Kate, you seem like you're so passionate, and I love that. How do you balance your own self-care with supporting others? Because it's important, and I think carers out there, they put themselves last. So how do you balance the carer role based on your own self-care?
Yeah. Well, people managing and working with people's emotions and feelings is a big thing, and can take a big toll, especially as someone who can crash from a lot of social interaction. It's very important for me. I like to have time alone, and I also love to go to the gym. The gym is my biggest vice. I don't know what I would do without the gym. I don't know if you guys like the gym, but I love the gym. I need it for my mental health. It's something I look forward to every day. Any emotion, excitement, sadness, anxiety, stress, anger, anything, I can get it out at the gym. I can feel amazing, I can clear my brain, and I can come back and I have the emotional and mental capacity to do a good job. So self-care is very important, and I don't know what I'd do without the gym.
And it doesn't just have to be the gym, going outside in the sunshine and just getting that vitamin D is
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Any moment that you can take to yourself to do something that genuinely fills up your cup and to have a moment where your brain can sort of calm down. I'm someone who my brain is always going. Like sometimes first thing I wake up, I sit up, I'm like, emails. Like last thing at night, thinking about work, which it's not good. It's important to switch off, but that's something I'm still practicing. So anything you have where you can sort of just relax, switch off, not think about work, that's very important. So you can come back to work and you can actually do a good job.
I think that's called being the owner of the business, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I've been learning.
Tell us a little bit about Soul Support.
So when I've been in the industry since I was 18. When I graduated school, all throughout school, my goal was to become a surgeon. So the pathway I was going to do that is I started studying biomedical science. I did about a year and a half. I was a support worker during this time. And then one day, sort of just like that, I had this realization, and sometimes I can be a bit like that in life. Sometimes it's like just like that, and it's like, no, change, I'm changing. And I dropped out of uni. I came to the conclusion, this isn't what I want to do anymore. I think this is what I felt like I had to do because I was always very studious at school. And I have this big sense of this big fear of failure and of wanting to make my parents proud. So that was a really big deal for me, dropping out of uni. And it was sort of like, okay, well, let's make something else work. Something else has to work then. So I just went all into support work, did that for a few more years. I sort of had a bad experience working for a company. It was, everyone hears this a lot in the industry. A lot of people start off as support workers and they have a bad experience with the company. The company that I was working for, they were overcharging, they were letting people down, they were unreliable, they weren't paying super, all these things. And that sort of is when the first idea of soul support came to mind. And actually the name Soul Support was like right from the start. I've had that for years, and it just is something that just came to my head one day. Soul support. I thought, like, that sounds beautiful, because I like to provide holistic, meaningful support that actually does something, not to just kill time, not to waste somebody else's time, actually holistic soul support. So then that's when I sort of started the journey and sort of sat with it, and eventually, started making the website myself. I taught myself how to do the website that I've still got to this day. I did that myself. So yeah, I'm very proud of all these things, and it's a wonderful, crazy journey. And but it's working out so far, and it's good, and I'm glad for the decisions I've made. But yeah, there has definitely been some rough patches where I've questioned everything, for sure.
What areas do you support?
So we started off in Greater Melbourne, and we have expanded to regional Victoria. I'm actually a Queenslander, so we also do some work in Queensland with, I've had participants reach out to me. I don't do any advertising in Queensland or anything like that. I had some participants reach out to me, and now we support some on the Sunshine Coast. So yeah.
I have to ask, why Queensland to Melbourne? It's a bit colder there.
Well, sitting here with my coat on inside during a cold snap in Melbourne, and it's overcast. It was rainy yesterday. It's been overcast for weeks. I'm questioning that. I'm asking myself that.
Breanna, what are your hopes for the future? Not just for soul support, but for the disability community at large?
You know what? I want to see more acceptance and more inclusion, because I know how it makes people feel to not feel those things. And it's really sad. It breaks my heart. And my biggest hope is people feel acceptance and included. Yeah.
That's all anyone can want.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
And are you going to take soul support bigger?
We'll see where it goes. I think
Nice.
this is also something that I'm learning along the way. It's, oh my God, it's amazing all the different growing pains you go through in a business. So when you first start off, you've got all the time in the world for marketing. You're meeting different people in the industry, you're finding your niche and what you want to do in the industry, and you're finding people who do similar things. You're speaking with them, you're having an amazing time, you're upskilling, you're speaking to awesome people who are doing awesome things. And then you start hiring people and you get busy with all these admin tasks, and then you have no time to talk to other people. And oh, now all of a sudden, you know, I've got to return all these calls. This is my to-do list from yesterday. I missed a few calls, so I've got to do that today. Yeah.
Breanna, thank you so much for your time today. It's been wonderful speaking with you. We will put all your details up on the website so that people can reach out if they need to. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So much, guys.
Take care. Bye.